From the front page of the Yonkers Statesman, November 6, 1916. Headline, New York for use by 100,000, says Tanner. Chairman Frederick C. Tanner of the Republican State Committee gave out the following forecast of the results of tomorrow's election in this state. Quote, the latest canvasses by the Republican State Committee confirm my statement of last Monday that Mr. Hughes will carry the state by more than 100,000 votes and that Governor Whitman and the entire Republican ticket will be elected by substantially the same pluralities. If anything, the estimate is too conservative. Headline, Men Will Stay Together. The presence of Trolleyman Union's general organizer William B. Fitzgerald in the city today and yesterday generated a wealth of rumors and hearsay to the effect that the trolleymen, weary of continued idleness and alarmed at the apparently successful efforts of the company to operate cars, had asked for a settlement of the strike. The truth is that a conference was arranged yesterday afternoon at Greystone, the residence of Samuel Untermeyer, between Mayor Lennon, Assistant Corporation Counsel Max Cohen, Mr. Fitzgerald, and members of the executive committee of the local union, and about 15 trolleymen, to consider the question of whether or not the men, should a receiver be appointed, would be a party to the suit. No decision was reached, and it was decided to leave the question to a vote of the men themselves. At their meeting this morning, a unanimous vote withdrew the strikers from any connection with the proceedings. The city authorities have postponed their application for a receivership suit until this question should be decided. Should the trolleymen consent to be a party to the suit, they concluded, and the receiver was subsequently appointed, then under the law they will be compelled to return to work. This, in the mind of strike leaders, would constitute a surrender, which they say is not to be thought of. One for all for one was the slogan adopted. Why should the Yonkers men agree to a separate peace, said Mr. Fitzgerald to a Statesman reporter. The same conditions prevail in this strike trouble as do those in the European War. The Allies and Teutonic powers have repeatedly declined to discuss the question of a separate peace. Certainly, if the crowned heads and statesmen of Europe believe in the value of sticking together, I cannot see why the Yonkers men should go back on their brothers in New York City who are also on strike. Headline, Germans recover ground taken. Neither the British or French were able to entirely retain the ground won by them from the Germans on the Somme front during yesterday's fighting. The Germans last night attacked the new British position south of the Albert Bapaume Road, and London today announces the British were compelled to give up portions. After a long interval, the resumption of active operations in Dobruja is reported from Bucharest, which announces a Romanian victory. It declares Romanians took the offensive and have driven von Mackensen from several villages which he set on fire upon evacuation. Headline, Allies warn Mexico. The Mexican government has been notified by the British ambassador at Washington of the presence of German submarines in the Gulf of Mexico and has been warned the Allies will take drastic measures if the undersea craft receives aid from Mexican ports or sources. The British note says a failure to maintain Mexican neutrality will meet with disastrous results. Foreign Minister Aguilar states the Mexican government feels it unjust for the Allies to hold Mexico responsible for submarine activities in the Gulf of Mexico when the same submarines arrived in American ports and sank ships in American territorial waters without causing a conflict between Germany and the United States. And that's the news from Yonkers 100 years ago today.